14 consecutive division titles, 5 World Series appearances, but only 1 championship. The 1990s Atlanta Braves stand as baseball's greatest paradox, a juggernaut that dominated like few teams before or since, yet repeatedly fell short on baseball's biggest stage. Were they a dynasty that deserves to stand alongside the game's immortal teams? Or were they the greatest collection of choke artists in baseball history? Today, we revisit the dizzying highs and crushing lows of a team that both thrilled and tormented its fan base. From Lonnie Smith's base-running blunder to that blown 6-run lead against the Yankees, we'll relive the moments that defined an era and answer the question that still divides baseball fans to this day. To understand the magnitude of what the Braves accomplished, we need to step back and appreciate the sheer improbability of their run. In 1990, the Atlanta Braves were baseball's laughingstock, a 65-97 team that finished last in their division. What happened next defies belief. Beginning in 1991, the Braves embarked on what would become the longest sustained period of regular season dominance in baseball history. 14 consecutive division titles. Not the Yankees of Ruth and Gehrig, not the Big Red Machine, not even the mighty Oakland A's of the early 70s can claim such consistency. Think about that for a moment. For a decade and a half, through 3 presidents, the rise of the internet, and almost the entire career of Ken Griffey Jr., the Atlanta Braves never finished second. At the heart of this run was perhaps the greatest starting rotation ever assembled. The Big Three, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz, formed a pitching trinity that haunted hitters' dreams and rewrote record books. Maddux arrived in 1993, shockingly spurning the Yankees to join his pitching brethren in Atlanta. What followed was perhaps the most dominant run by any pitcher in the modern era. Having already claimed the 1992 Cy Young with the Cubs, Maddux went on to win 3 more consecutively with the Braves from 93 to 95, making him the first pitcher ever to win 4 straight. During this remarkable 4-year stretch, he posted an unearthly ERA of 193 as offense exploded across the league. Tom Glavine, the crafty lefty, was the perfect complement to Maddux's precision. While he lacked the radar gun readings that impressed casual fans, Glavine's mastery of the outside corner, or as hitters complained, 6 inches off the corner, carried him to 305 career wins and 2 Cy Youngs of his own. And what about his performance in the clinching Game 6 of the '95 World Series? 1 hit ball over 8 innings in a 1-0 victory, bringing Atlanta its only championship of the era. When the lights were brightest, Glavine delivered one of the greatest World Series pitching performances in history. Then there was John Smoltz, the fiery competitor whose blazing fastball and devastating slider made him perhaps the greatest big-game pitcher of his generation. His 1996 season was nothing short of historic. 24 wins and a Cy Young Award, while leading the majors with 276 strikeouts and topping the National League in both innings pitched and winning percentage. That dominant campaign stands as one of the finest pitching performances of the decade, a testament to Smoltz's competitive fire and remarkable arsenal. And when arm troubles threatened his career, Smoltz showed remarkable resilience and versatility. After undergoing Tommy John surgery before the 2000 season and missing that entire year, he transitioned to the bullpen in 2001. The experiment proved wildly successful. In his first full season as a closer in 2002, Smoltz set a National League record with 55 saves. Over 3.5 seasons in relief, he converted an astonishing 154 saves in just 168 opportunities, dominating in his new role. Then, defying conventional wisdom, Smoltz returned to the starting rotation in 2005 and continued to excel. Who else in baseball history has reinvented themselves so dramatically at the highest level and succeeded in both roles? Behind this pitching excellence stood Bobby Cox, the steadying hand in the dugout whose calm demeanor and tactical acumen guided the team through triumph and heartbreak alike. Cox was renowned as a player's manager, fostering an environment where players knew their roles and felt respected, whether it was through a calm demeanor or a fiery ejection in defense of his team. While his in-game decisions, particularly in the postseason, sometimes faced criticism, his overall tactical approach was a key factor in the Braves' consistent success. He retired with 2,504 career wins, ranking 4th all-time among MLB managers, a testament to his consistency and adaptability across different eras of baseball. The lineup featured its own share of stars. Chipper Jones emerged as the face of the franchise, a switch-hitting third baseman whose sweet swing and clutch hitting made him the offensive cornerstone. His 1999 MVP season with a .319 average, 45 homers, and 110 RBIs, stands as one of the finest by a third baseman in baseball history. Behind Chipper, the Braves assembled a masterful rotating cast of contributors that evolved throughout their dynasty. The crime dog Fred McGriff arrived in a pivotal midseason '93 trade that ignited another division title run, providing consistent power and leadership. Later came the big cat Andres Galarraga, who joined in the late '90s and delivered formidable power in the heart of the lineup. The outfield featured the speedy Marquise Grissom, whose defense and timely hitting proved crucial during their 1995 championship run. Perhaps most remarkably, a 19-year-old phenom named Andrew Jones debuted in 1996 and developed into arguably the greatest defensive center fielder in baseball history while adding significant power to the lineup. What made the Braves truly special, however, was their organizational excellence. While other teams rose and fell, the Braves maintained their standard through shrewd drafting, player development, and front office stability. General manager John Schuerholz, who took over in 1990 and transformed the team from cellar dwellers to contenders almost overnight, built a talent machine that became known as the Braves Way. His strategies for identifying, developing, and deploying talent worked with remarkable consistency, creating a continuous pipeline of contributors that sustained their success for over a decade. Schuerholz's brilliance was eventually recognized with his 2017 induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The crowning achievement came in 1995, when the Braves finally broke through against the Cleveland Indians to win the World Series. After years of heartbreak, the monkey was off their backs. The dynasty had its validation. When we compare the Braves to other legendary teams, their regular season dominance stands alone. The Big Red Machine won back-to-back titles in 1975 to 76, but their reign was brief. The Oakland A's won 3 straight from 1972 to 74, but didn't sustain their dominance for nearly as long. Even the Yankees, with their 27 championships, never strung together 14 consecutive division titles. Not under Miller Huggins, not under Joe Torre, not under Casey Stengel. In the history of American sports, few teams can rival what the Braves accomplished in terms of sustained excellence. Their 14 consecutive division titles represent a level of consistency that stands virtually unmatched in professional sports. By any measure of regular season dominance, the 1990s Braves stand as one of baseball's true dynasties. But baseball isn't decided in the regular season, is it? When October rolled around, a different Braves team often emerged, one that found increasingly creative ways to break their fans' hearts. Let's examine the brutal numbers. In their 5 World Series appearances during the 1990s, the Braves went 1-4. Even more telling is their record in one-run World Series games, 5 wins, 12 losses. When the margins were thinnest and the pressure highest, the Braves consistently came up short. In fact, every loss they endured at the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays in the '92 World Series were all by 1 run. The heartbreak began in 1991, in what many consider the greatest World Series ever played. After going worst to first during the regular season, the Braves faced the Minnesota Twins in a series where the home team won every game. Game 7 remains one of baseball's most excruciating what-ifs for Braves fans. The score was tied 0-0 in the 8th inning when Lonnie Smith led off with a single. Terry Pendleton followed with a double to the gap that should have scored Smith easily from first. But in a moment that would haunt the franchise for years, Smith was fooled by a decoy play from Twins second baseman Chuck Knobloch, hesitating momentarily between first and second. That split second of indecision meant Smith only reached third instead of scoring. The Braves loaded the bases with 1 out but couldn't push a run across. Jack Morris, pitching on pure guts and determination, completed his 10-inning shutout, and the Twins won on Gene Larkin's walk-off single in the 10th. The Braves' first chance at a title had slipped away. If 1991 was heartbreaking, 1992 was cruel. Back in the World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays, the Braves fought valiantly but fell short in 6 games. For the Braves, the sting was the same. 2 World Series, 2 defeats. Then came 1995, the breakthrough. In a strike-shortened season, the Braves finally claimed their title against a powerful Cleveland Indians team. For one glorious winter, Atlanta could call itself world champions. Was this the turning point? Had the Braves exercised their October demons? Would the floodgates now open for multiple championships? The 1996 World Series against the Yankees provided the devastating answer. After winning the first two games in New York, including a dominant 12-1 win in Game 1 and a 4-0 shutout in Game 2, the Braves returned to Atlanta needing just 2 wins in 3 home games to claim their second straight title. Game 4 stands as perhaps the most painful loss in franchise history. Leading 6-0 in the 6th inning, the Braves appeared to be cruising toward a 3-1 series lead. What happened next still haunts Atlanta fans. The Yankees chipped away, cutting the lead to 6-3 when Jim Leyritz came to bat in the 8th inning with 2 runners on. Facing Mark Wohlers, Atlanta's hard-throwing closer, Leyritz got a hanging slider and launched it into the Atlanta night for a game-tying 3-run homer. Fulton County Stadium fell silent. You could almost feel the collective dread of an entire fan base thinking, not again. The Yankees won in 10 innings, then took games 5 and 6 to complete the stunning comeback. The Braves had been 3 innings away from commanding the series 3-1. Instead, they lost 4 straight games and watched the Yankees celebrate the beginning of their own dynasty. By 1999, when the Braves and Yankees met again, the outcome felt almost predetermined. The Yankees swept Atlanta in 4 straight, outscoring them 21-9. The mighty Braves offense managed just 17 hits and a .200 average for the entire series. The pattern had become clear. The regular season Braves were a juggernaut, but October brought a different team. One that tightened up in crucial moments, one whose offense disappeared when it mattered most, one whose bullpen couldn't hold leads in the biggest games. Bobby Cox, for all his regular season genius, seemed to make critical missteps in October. His bullpen management was questioned repeatedly, particularly his loyalty to certain relievers who consistently faltered in big moments. The Braves' postseason failures weren't limited to the World Series either. From 1991 to 2005, during their run of 14 straight division titles, they advanced to the NLCS just 9 times. 5 times they couldn't even get past the division series, including 3 straight first-round exits from 2002 to 2004. Critics point to these numbers and ask a simple question. Can a team truly be considered a dynasty when they converted just one of 5 World Series appearances into championships? When they repeatedly wilted under the October spotlight? The Buffalo Bills of the early 1990s reached 4 straight Super Bowls and lost them all. History remembers them more for those failures than for the remarkable achievement of making 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Are the Braves baseball's equivalent? A team defined more by what they couldn't do than by what they did? To truly understand the Braves' legacy, we need to look beyond simple narratives of choking or bad luck. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the complicated middle. First, let's consider the competition. The Braves' World Series losses came against some truly exceptional teams. The 1991 Twins featured Jack Morris, Kirby Puckett, and Kent Hrbek. The 1992 Blue Jays boasted Roberto Alomar, Joe Carter, and Dave Winfield. And the Yankees teams that defeated Atlanta in 96 and 99 were in the midst of winning 4 championships in 5 years. A legitimate dynasty by any standard. These weren't cases of the Braves losing to inferior opposition. There's also the matter of bad luck. Baseball, perhaps more than any other sport, is subject to the whims of fortune. A few inches here or there can change everything. In Game 7 of the 91 World Series, Lonnie Smith's base-running blunder might have cost the Braves a run, but it was hardly the only opportunity they squandered. They loaded the bases with 1 out and couldn't score. That's not just bad luck, that's failing to execute. Similarly, while Jim Leyritz's home run in 96 might have been the turning point, the Braves still had multiple chances to win that game and the following contests. They simply didn't perform when it mattered most. Bobby Cox's postseason decision-making deserves scrutiny as well. His loyalty to struggling players sometimes bordered on stubbornness. In the 1996 World Series, for instance, Cox stuck with Mark Wohlers despite clear signs that the closer was faltering. Cox's regular season record speaks for itself. 2,504 wins, 14 straight division titles. But in October, when adaptability and quick decisions can make all the difference, his steadfast approach sometimes worked against the team. There's also the psychological component. As the Braves' postseason disappointments mounted, the pressure intensified. Every October became a referendum, not just on that season, but on the entire era. Media scrutiny increased with each failure. Fans grew more anxious. Players felt the weight of the franchise's history on their shoulders. By the late 90s, the narrative was firmly established. The Braves were regular season lions and postseason lambs. Such labels can become self-fulfilling prophecies, creating tension that manifests in tight swings, pressing pitchers, and mental mistakes. We also can't ignore the structural changes in baseball during this era. The The introduction of the division series in '95 added another round of playoffs, increasing the gauntlet teams had to run to win a championship. The Braves' 14 straight division titles spanned both the pre-wild card era and the wild card era, two fundamentally different playoff structures. Comparing their achievements to earlier dynasties requires acknowledging this contextual difference. Statistical analysis offers another perspective. In the postseason, the Braves' vaunted starting pitching largely lived up to its billing. Maddux, Glavine, and Smoltz combined for a .347 ERA in the postseason during the 90s, not as dominant as their regular season numbers, but still excellent. The offense, however, consistently underperformed. In their 5 World Series of the decade, the Braves hit a combined 233, well below their regular season averages. In crucial situations, their bats simply went cold. Perhaps most telling is this statistic. In World Series games during the 90s, the Braves scored 3 or fewer runs 17 times in 29 games. It's difficult to win championships with that level of offensive production, no matter how good your pitching might be. So where do the 1990s Braves stand in baseball's pantheon? Let's compare them to other teams considered dynasties. The Big Red Machine of the 1970s won consecutive World Series in 1975 and 1976, plus 4 pennants in 7 years. Their run was shorter than Atlanta's, but they converted a higher percentage of opportunities into championships. The Oakland A's of the early 1970s won 3 straight World Series from 1972 to 1974. Again, a briefer period of dominance, but a more efficient conversion rate in October. The Yankees dynasty of the late 90s won 4 titles in 5 years, 1996, 98, 99, and 2000. Their run wasn't as long as Atlanta's, but their postseason success was undeniably superior. Going further back, the Cardinals of the 1940s won 4 pennants and 3 World Series in 5 years. The Dodgers of the 1950s won 5 pennants, but just 1 World Series, a team perhaps most similar to the Braves in terms of regular season dominance, not fully translating to championships. This raises the fundamental question: what defines a dynasty in baseball? Is it sustained excellence over time, regardless of championships? If so, the Braves' 14 consecutive division titles make them perhaps the greatest dynasty in baseball history. Or is it championship hardware? By that measure, the Braves fall well short of teams like the Yankees, Athletics, and Reds, who converted their opportunities at a much higher rate. Or is it some combination of both? Sustained dominance punctuated by multiple championships. This middle ground would place the Braves in the conversation, but not at the top of the list. Baseball's unique structure makes this question particularly complex. In the NBA or NHL, playoff series are best of 7 throughout, giving the better team more opportunity to prevail. Baseball's postseason, especially with the addition of shorter division series, introduces more randomness. The best baseball team doesn't always win the World Series. Sometimes a hot team or a fortunate bounce makes all the difference. The 1990s Braves may have been the best team of their era without being the most successful in October. So were the 1990s Atlanta Braves a dynasty or the greatest choke artists in baseball history? The answer, unsatisfying as it may be, is both. They were unquestionably a dynasty in terms of sustained consistency, organizational stability, and regular season dominance. No team in modern baseball history maintained such a high level of performance for so long. The 14 consecutive division titles stand as one of sports' most remarkable achievements, yet they were also undeniably disappointing in October. 1 championship from 5 World Series appearances represents a conversion rate that falls short of what we expect from truly great teams. The pattern of faltering in crucial moments, from Lonnie Smith's base running to the 1996 collapse, suggests a team that struggled with the highest pressure situations. Perhaps the most fitting legacy of the 90s Braves is that they force us to reconsider what we value in sports. Do we prize consistency and excellence over time? Or do we measure greatness solely by championships? The Braves challenge our binary thinking. They weren't simply great or disappointing. They were both simultaneously. They were baseball's greatest paradox, a team whose regular season brilliance was matched only by their postseason heartbreak. Time has softened some of the disappointment. The big three of Maddux, Glavine, and Smoltz all reached the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones joined them in Cooperstown. Bobby Cox received his well-deserved plaque. The individual brilliance has been recognized, even if the collective achievement remains debated. For fans who lived through that era, the memories are bittersweet. the dominance of Maddux at his peak, Glavine's masterpiece to clinch the 1995 title, Smoltz's big game performances, Chipper's clutch hitting, but also the gut-wrenching defeats, the chances that slipped away, the dynasties that might have been. What do you think? Were the 1990s Braves a true dynasty deserving of recognition alongside baseball's greatest teams? Or were they underachievers who squandered their potential on baseball's biggest stage? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe for our next deep dive where we'll tackle another of baseball's great historical debates. Thanks for watching.